fools.
Balrogs and Blastbeats for another week. The coolest uncool podcast that ever there was. That tagline is just sort of stuck in my head, and now it just kind of makes me happy. I am one of your nerdy hosts, Josh Redbeard.
I'm Margy. I remembered to introduce myself.
I'm Grant.
Nice.
Howdy. And I guess as every week, we're going to start with the nerdiest things that we've done this week. And I'm not sure if you two have seen much about this. The GTA 6 leaks that have been going all over the internet and have now been completely wiped from the internet.
No, I did not hear about this at all.
So about, I think it was like September 18th or something, that 19th, like 6-7 days ago, they, someone had hacked into Take-Two Games and leaked 90 videos of early access stuff from GTA 6, as well as heaps of content for old games and all that.
Oh,
I think I actually didn't get a chance to watch any of it myself, which I'm pretty bummed about. But they've completely wiped it from the internet, like 2 days. I've never seen something get removed so quickly. The FBI's involved, everything got... Yeah, so turns out they've been hacked by this group called Lapsus, and a 17-year-old boy in the UK has been arrested under suspicion because not only did they hack Take-Two, but in the past year they've hacked Uber, Microsoft, Samsung, and Nvidia. So
Amazing.
the FBI, MI6, all those massive organizations have been trying to come down on these dudes, and they eventually get caught because GTA 6 leaks.
That's amazing. How do you wipe something completely from the internet, though? To me, it's like once it's out there, there's no way to get rid of it all.
Control F?
Because they just send someone a pretty much a message saying, if you don't remove this, we're going to sue you for millions of dollars. And they're like, it's not worth millions of dollars, and they remove it. So I think,
but surely, like somewhere, people would be like hiding it.
Oh yeah, people probably have it on hard drives and stuff, but even like I can't even find it on like the deepest. Like I looked for like 2 hours on Reddit trying to find something, like a smidge, a screenshot. Nothing. I saw nothing. I couldn't.
Well, you can just entertain yourself with the GTA TikToks, like where it's like people pretending to be like the hookers from GTA and stuff, and it's just they're like walking around, and I find them really entertaining.
I did find it pretty hilarious, just the irony of the situation that they're like ordering all these lawsuits against all these people who have leaked all this stuff about. Leaked like a crime simulation game, and they're upset about the
You taught these kids.
Yeah,
you taught these kids what to do.
You taught us everything we know.
So yeah, I found the irony of that pretty hilarious. But yeah, it's a shame. I would have liked to have talked about what I saw, but I actually couldn't get any of the footage.
Amazing.
Dear listener, if you saw anything, let us know. Just because the man told us we're not allowed to have them doesn't mean we can't talk about them.
Well, there's all these YouTube videos that say people basically describing the video, but it says in like big comments like no footage of the game here, because if you get like 3 copyright strikes on YouTube or Twitch or anything like that, like your account's banned forever. So there'd be like big bloggers talking about this kind of stuff, but if they get a content banned because they show footage of it, then their account's gone for like breach. So they could lose like their livelihoods for sharing stuff like that.
They could just make a new account with like a 1 or a 2 after it.
Yeah.
PewDiePie 2. Is that guy still going?
PewDiePie's.
Pewdie_pie.
Anyway, Margy, what's the nerdiest thing you've been up to this week?
I've had, in case you can't tell from my voice and my occasional hacking, I've been real fucking sick this week. I got a flu shot and everything, but no, I probably caught something in Queensland from the inbred folk. I mean, what? So I've just been in a depression hole dissociating. But I did have a dream, which was pretty fucking nerdy. And I was like, this is nerdy enough that I need to tell you. First of all, I got a sick thigh piece. So I've got a big piece on my thigh save, bit of prime real estate that I'm saving for something big. And in my dream, I just had a huge tattoo of upper from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which, I mean, not surprising if that did happen. And also, I was studying a biomedical science degree at a university in Singapore, and was tutoring people in all the chemistry subjects and was having a really good time because I was like, it's all right, I've got a chemistry degree, but you guys will have to help me with the biology. And it was pretty bleak. That's,
That would be
you
your
can
your 10th science class, I believe now, or are we up to 11?
Jeez, yeah. So science on the brain, apparently. That's what happens when I'm sick. Apparently, I just dream about science.
Amazing.
Obviously still reading Wheel of Time, though. We're up to book 13. Penultimate. When I get to the end, we will have a little recap section of Margy just reacting to the end, I'm sure.
I think we're going to need a whole episode on it at this stage.
It'll just be me crying. And getting upper tattooed on me.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're living your best dream life.
Yeah, Josh, did you get out of bed at all this week? Because I sure didn't.
did.
Hopefully
Yeah,
yours is better.
I absolutely didn't. I've had a crazy week with work, but the nerdiest thing that I did this week, I had this like real wholesome moment where me and Grant have been doing multiplayer Mondays on the Northside Nerd Twitch, which has just been heaps and heaps of fun.
There's
and
some really good screenshots from it I've been seeing.
Yeah, there's been some great shit from it. And then on Tuesdays, I've been doing like Throwback Tuesdays. And last week, I played Heroes of Might and Magic 3. And I just like posted a thing on my Instagram story just being like, I'm going to be playing some Heroes of Might and Magic 3. And I legitimately got like fucking 20 or 30 replies from like friends and people I didn't know. Just be like, oh my God, this game was such a big part of my childhood. Oh my God, this is so fucking sick. And like just reminding a whole bunch of people that that game exists. And it was just this really fucking like wholesome moment. And one dude, Sean Fuller, who like runs around the world doing sound, I think he's on tour with like the Amity Affliction at the moment. He was saying like someone on their tour at the moment has a laptop and he's been playing Heroes of Might and Magic 3 while
That's
on
sick.
tour. I'm like, yeah, that's a fucking great way to spend some time when you're in a European bus and got nothing better to do. But
there's nothing else to do in Europe. No, just
no. When you're on a bus, like just traveling between, when you're not allowed to stop and do European things, all you can do is like look at it from afar and like kind of wave to the Alps as they go past,
and empty the bus sewage system on passing boats.
Yeah, and do that 100% do that. But yeah, no. So I've been like digging back into my childhood and like and get in touch with the Twitch community about fucking like I played Heroes of Might and Magic 2 the week before and it was fun kind of explaining because there was like a bunch of people in the chat that just be like, I have no idea what's going on in this game. Can you explain it? I was like, fuck yeah, I can explain this game because I have played it more than just about any game ever. But yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 just kind of really connected me to my childhood. So I've been like in this real like nostalgia thing at the moment and it's just been delightful.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is time to move into the medium beat for the week. And Grant, you've prepared a severely underrated for us this week. So would you tell us what do you believe is severely underrated?
So we're gonna go to the Alien franchise.
Sick.
And I'm gonna say that Alien Resurrection is severely underrated as a movie.
Ooh.
Which movie's that?
It's
I
the
know
one.
there's
It's the
Alien-
fourth one when she comes
Fourth one.
back, when she gets cloned and she comes back to life, and they're
Oh,
like on a
dear.
spaceship.
It was what,
Are we all
90
on spaceships?
97. It's
97,
got Winona Ryder and Ron Perlman as well. So
Yeah.
top-notch cast.
Ooh, cast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Give us a quick plot synopsis.
So
There's some cloning.
So essentially, yeah, Ripley dies at the end of number 3, and
Whoa! Spoilers.
Look, yeah, I know. Sorry to spoil this, 30-year-old movie for you. But yeah, essentially, she dies at the end of number 3, and they get her mass and they try to clone her. But what happens when they clone her is because she was impregnated with the alien when she died. Every time they clone her, she's like part alien, part human. So she's kind of like a super badass in number 4, but then she's not like she looks like Ripley, but like her memories and stuff, she's like all kind of mixed up. So she's like half alien, half human, badass. And yeah, and they just go around the classic, the aliens get out that they're trying to breed. So then you got like Super Ripley basically just bashing these aliens, and yeah, it wasn't well received, unfortunately. But it's probably because it's more of an action movie than it is a horror movie. But it's a good fun action movie. Only goes for 109 minutes, so it's like perfect.
Oh, That's something I can handle.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, I know a lot of people don't like that movie, so I think it's severely underrated.
Did they clone a cat?
No.
No.
What the
No.
fuck? If someone, I just want to put this out there. If anyone ever wants to clone me, if you don't bring Bowie back with me, I'll be fucking pissed.
my favorite thing though about that though is the writer and the director for that film are just two choices that I just never ever expected. Did you see who's
Who are
written and
they?
directed by?
Yeah.
No?
I can't remember his name. The French
Steven
dude.
Spielberg.
No, it's the French food and the French dude. I can't remember his name. But he
Yeah,
does a lot-
Jean-Pierre Jeunet, but he's the same director that directed Amelie. Like after he directed
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection, his next film was Amelie, but it was written by Joss Whedon as well, which
Yeah,
I find really fucking weird.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you can definitely see like the Firefly in it. Like you can see how Firefly directly comes from Alien Resurrection. Like the whole space pirates, like that whole like the Betty, the ship in like Alien Resurrection is just like the proto Serenity.
Yeah,
Could we say then that also severely underrated are space pirates?
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
I think
It's definitely an underdeveloped trope.
I think even like Firefly's underrated, even though like
Mm.
it's pretty huge. But I reckon that's also severely underrated.
You know, the first time I found out about Firefly was from the TV series Big Mouth. And she keeps having wet dreams about what Nathan Fillion or whatever that guy is. And then I was like, what? Is this some... And then I was like, oh, dope. This is great. And I watched that instead of the cartoon. So,
Fair.
But yeah,
happy
but-
all right.
endings.
Okay, what's your favorite scene then in Alien Resurrection?
When she throws the basketball over her head and gets it a swish, you know, she actually did it.
Really?
Yeah, it took like there's a myth that she did it first shot, but she didn't. It took them like a couple of days of trying to get that shot, but she eventually done it. And the reason why it makes it look fake is they cut away hard after the ball goes through because everyone just like broke character. They're like, holy shit, she actually just walked away and did a half-court basketball throw over her head and got a swish through the bucket. And everyone's just like gone crazy, like it was like the end of like a rap battle or something like that. And then it's just like, oh well, we got to cut there because obviously like that's not what the characters are doing right now. I'm supposed to put this badass moment.
Yeah.
I really hope that they figured out how much money then it took to get that shot. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
it's taken us like 3 days of filming with like XXX, and someone could figure it out, I'm sure. What's
sorry.
worse? Sorry, I was going to ask you what your least favorite part of the movie was, but
Look, there's a lot of plot stuff that just doesn't make sense, but it's a late 90s action movie, so you kind of just it's also gone in like 3 seconds, so like the parts that you don't like just zoom past. But yeah,
have you
it's
seen
not,
action movies these days? It's not like they particularly make sense anyway a lot of the time.
no, but they drag it out. The whole thing's usually just bad these days. Whereas back then it's just like scene. You're like, oh, I didn't like that one, but it's like already gone. So I've forgotten about it. I don't know, maybe like the weird sexuality between Ripley and like the alien child Earth human thing
Yeah, that was
is
weird.
kind of it's unnerving, not in like a psychological way, just makes you feel sick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I've got a full confession to make.
Go on.
I have not seen any of the Alien movies.
Oh, you're
I've
fired.
seen clips, and I've seen Prometheus, which scared the behoobers out of me and made me want to clean my eyes. But so I feel like we should do a watch stream of me watching Alien for the first time with you guys.
The first one is amazing. Oh, the first two, I really like the first two. The third one,
if you would like to see that, listeners, let us know of me just going ah!
In Alien Resurrection, though, as well, there is really, in my opinion, an underrated actor, and maybe that's just because he can only play a very certain type of one. Is the dude that plays the captain of the Betty? He also plays Rochefort in The Three Musketeers. I know he's in Nope, like the new Jordan Peele film, but he has this like probably the sexiest voice I think I've ever heard. Like it's
yeah, I
it's
know
like
who you're talking about.
it's like French, but gravelly French. Like it's like he got punched in the throat at some point. But it's like, yeah. I think he's actually for like Canadian. I think he's French Canadian, but
Oh,
yeah,
so
but
he's
like
nice and
yeah,
French.
yeah, Margy, but listen to this dude's voice. I'm pretty sure he's not putting it on because he always plays like he always uses the same voice in everything he's in. So I think it's actually his voice, but it's just it has this real rasp to it that is just it's so fucking unique, and I love
Is it
every time I
like the
hear it.
guy's voice from The Godfather?
Which voice? There's a lot of voices in the
Oh,
Godfather.
do you, the Godfather's voice, the one who's like,
Oh no, it's
So
like
he's not like
I
I'm walking here.
walk in it. No, it's, I wish that I could try and put it on, but like I'm bad at voices at the best of times. It's something you'll have to go and do afterwards. Just go and Michael Wincott is his name. So look up the actor Michael Wincott and just listen to this fucking voice, and it's just it's sex in a voice.
Ooh.
So yeah, I'm staying on
What,
that.
you don't think my nasal Queensland accent is sex in voice? What the fuck? Rude.
I think I've just heard too many bogans in my life to be.
Hey! I'm walking here.
I'm walking here.
I'm walking here.
Oh, get a fucking rage, you can't. I'm trying to walk here. That's there you go. There you go. The Queenslander comes out.
That's some Fortitude Valley vernacular.
You're welcome. That's some cultural education.
Yeah. I did also learn while I was looking up a bit of stuff about this movie that Ron Perlman also almost drowned during the underwater scene because the scene where he hits his head on the sprinkler, he actually did that and got knocked out.
Amazing.
And he almost drowned. And also
Ron Perlman's the guy who played Thanos.
Nah, that's Josh
That's
Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Oh, he looks like him though.
Yeah.
Ron
Ron Perlman's
played
Hellboy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they look the same.
Yeah, they do a bit.
They do a little bit.
I stand by my comment.
Ron Perlman as well is the voice in the Fallout where it says war.
Yeah.
War never changes.
So good. I also
Oh.
found out that during the production, they found it really hard to get any studio space because at the same time, Titanic, Starship Troopers, and the Jurassic Park: The Lost World was all being made. So like all these massive sets, like all of Hollywood was just capacity. It's like you can't film here.
And also maybe that had an impact on like its reception as a film. If all these movies have been filmed at the same time, then they're all going to be released at the same time. I would always go see Jurassic Park over an Alien movie. I'm sorry. Because dinosaurs.
And I'm sure Titanic crushed them all.
I still haven't seen that.
I think until
Really?
Avengers Endgame, or no, it might have been up until Avatar. It was the highest grossing movie.
Yeah.
Titanic.
Yeah,
Funnily
all right.
enough, they're
So
both James Cameron, aren't they?
Titanic and which?
Avatar and Titanic. aren't they?
Titanic, Celine Dion.
Yes, they are. They are both James Cameron, as well as Aliens. He didn't do Alien.
No, he did the second one.
Yeah, Ridley Scott.
So it goes Alien, Aliens,
Then Alien
and
3,
Alien 3,
and then Alien Resurrection.
and then Alien vs Predator. Is that one?
Nah,
that was next.
it is a movie, but it's not like it's not like in like connection. It's like a kind of like a standalone ordeal.
Well, I am excited to watch it now. I'm very excited. You know, I think you've inspired me to actually embark upon this franchise.
They're phenomenal. They're really well done. They still stand up. Like I watched Aliens recently.
Oh, it's so good.
It's fucking good. Like Alien 3 was very much in that like low budget, crappy early 90s sort of space that it just doesn't need to be watched.
Yeah, 3. Just dodge 3.
Yeah, if all you have to know is if you watch Alien, Aliens, and then Alien Resurrection, just know Ridley dies at some point between Aliens and Alien Resurrection. That's all you need to know.
I don't like it when people die anyway. It always makes me cry. Except
Fair.
in The Godfather, which I'm only bringing up because I only watched for the first time the other day. My housemate and I have embarked on The Godfather, then The Godfather 2. And there was a scene where they were having this funeral and then people started shooting on them. And it looked like a scene out of the Monty Python. I don't know why I found it so funny, but I was pissing myself laughing. And my housemate's like, Margy, a child just got shot. I was like,
Yeah.
like just cackling. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So I don't like when people die except in The Godfather because it's funny.
I like the term that you said, shooting on them, like they're like
Margy's gangster.
yeah.
yeah. It's
Like they're like throwing bullets like a basketball, like shooting on them.
they're doing a Ripley over the shoulder.
Yeah.
With the bullet.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they started shooting on him, and you just see like these like old mobsters play basketball with these kids like dunking on him and shit.
Phenomenal. Well, Grant, I'm gonna agree with you. Severely underrated. I wholeheartedly agree. Alien Resurrection's definitely a hidden gem.
It's a
And if
good
you've-
action movie.
If you've
Yeah.
convinced me to watch something, then that's a tick on the list. Because, as
Yeah.
I said, I'd never seen The Godfather, but after some light bullying, I watched it and laughed. So I will watch this and probably cry because I'm a baby.
Oh well, I think like especially like Alien being like Sigourney Weaver being basically the original badass leading woman, like
Yeah.
definitely a movie to watch.
Fuck,
Honestly,
Sorry, go on.
I just love her. I just love her so much. Like, I just want to be her. Is it too much to ask?
I'm just trying to remember as well because there was actually a terrible casting in that film. The general the dude that belongs in comedy films. He was the accountant in the original Addams Family. He played Louis Tully in the Addams Family.
Is he the dude who also plays Grimmer Wormtongue in
No,
Lord of the Rings?
Brad Dourif played the doctor.
Sorry, he's the doctor.
Yeah, nah, fuck, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's like, yeah, I remember he was the accountant in the original Addams Family film, and he plays like slapstick characters, and I think he's playing like the general, like the head of the army in Alien Resurrection, and he's just like, he doesn't look like an army, when they just cast like a really random person, like, you're not an army person.
Does he slip on a banana peel or anything?
I wish.
Get hit in the head by a basketball.
Yeah, nah, he's just just a big crap.
Same.
Amazing. All right, we're gonna move into the long beat for this particular episode, and as you may have told from the title of this episode, we're calling this one Fandangled Fandoms, which I'm gonna say that wrong at least once or twice.
I just want to say Fangorn every time I see it.
Fangorn Fandoms.
Fangorn Forest Fandoms. Man, I love those trees.
Could also be talking about a few Forlorn fandoms as well.
But yeah, basically, we're going to talk about, obviously, nerd is such a big part of, being a fan is such a big part of being a nerd, whether we find ourselves either like, a passionate and involved fan, or what I'd call a quote unquote armchair fan. Because I was thinking about the definition of it, and these days I think it is easier to be an armchair fan.
I've got some definitions, don't you
Oh,
worry.
you've got a definition? All right, well, Maggie, let's see your definition, and then I can comment accordingly.
My research, because I've been hopped up on cop syrup. I'll go with that.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been hopped up on drugs all week. I went historical, and I did some research into like the history of fan and where it comes from. So the word fan comes from the word fanatic or fanatical, which means someone who has intense religious fervor. And it was first used in the late 19th century to refer to baseball fans in America. So people were so into baseball that people were describing it as like they loved it with a religious fervor. Then it got shortened to fan. And a historian, Dr. Corin Throsby, defines it as A fan is someone who has an emotional connection to either a person or a cultural product. Right from the beginning, it's had a bit of a bad rap, which I really liked.
What I love about that whole explanation is you could get through all those big words, but you couldn't say cop syrup.
Cop syrup.
Yeah.
And neither can Grant.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm awful with words. That's fine.
I'm very literate, but not
Yeah.
speakerate.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that kind of like it plays interesting into like, yeah, it was kind of my thought thinking about the definitions of fandoms, because if you go back, I can't remember who was talking about it, but someone was talking about like what it meant to be a fan, say like in the time of the Beatles, and to be a fan of the Beatles, like you had to like wait for them at the airport, and you had to like, you know, find their hotels, and you had to go to all these places to do the thing, because they didn't have access to things like the internet that have made us be able to be like international fans. So like the three of us can technically go to San Diego Comic-Con without ever leaving our bedrooms now. And so
Wait, you can?
I mean, you can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on like whatever you want. So it's like, yeah, you can experience stuff as a fan being further away in this day and age. And so I guess you put out that kind of philosophical question is, do you think it lessens the idea of being a fan if you don't have to go as hard to be one?
No, because I think being a fan is about an emotional connection. But it is good that you said the fandom thing changing, because obviously like Beatlemania is like one of like the first huge fan culture things that we've seen. But in this history that I was looking at, it's from a podcast called You're Dead to Me. They did the history of fandom, and it's my favorite podcast. I love it. They actually made a really good point that fandom as we now know it, so apparently like back in ancient Rome or like Byzantine or something, people were fans of, say, like certain chariot races or whatever, except like you wouldn't know what was happening unless you were at the race, and then you couldn't, and then occasionally there'd be like a riot in the street if someone that they didn't like won or something, you know, shit like that. But like fandom as we know it couldn't exist without mass media. So in 1702 is when the first daily newspaper started, and from that came the sense of like a public sphere, because before then people weren't living in a public sphere, if that makes sense. Like, you know, literacy was still quite low then and stuff like that. And, you know, there was no daily newspaper. How were you keeping up with what was it to be in the public? And so, yeah, so the printing press really led to celebrity getting off the ground. And then people in like the mid 18th century started receiving fan mail, like famous authors did. And there you go. Like, that's kind of where we start seeing like fandom as we know it now kind of kicking off, which I thought was really cool.
What you're saying is essentially as soon as newspapers were invented, we had like parasocial simps immediately.
Parasocial sympathy is literally a big part of fandom, so I'm really glad that you brought it up.
But also I like how immediately like we've just gone from like as soon as that like the newspapers invented, it just went from okay, name three, like you're wearing a t-shirt, name 3 songs if you're really a fan. Like we just went straight to 100.
But like people have been a fan of writers, actors, stuff like that. I've got the first ever, this is believed to be the first ever con of like any description, was David Garrick organized a Shakespeare Jubilee pageant in 1769 in Shakespeare's hometown of Stratford-upon-Avon, and people dressed up as Shakespeare's characters. They were going to have a parade, but it got rained out, and they bought souvenirs made from the wood from the mulberry tree from Shakespeare's front yard. The only thing that didn't happen there was actual performances of his plays. So, but it's all about the consumption of creating new experiences of consumption rather than consuming his work, because everyone already knew his work and they were dressing up as like Macbeth. I don't know why you want to dress up as Macbeth, Macduff, and that like, and there you go. That's like the first ever con, which I thought was really cool.
I was really hoping you were going to say it was like The Simpsons, and he got like he had like the tickets printed on the crackers. Like for the Super Bowl, like literally on like saladas.
Well, they did cut down this tree that Shakespeare had planted at his house to make all the
Amazing.
souvenirs. So,
Well, I guess,
fans.
barely anyone knows who Shakespeare was, so it could have been anyone's tree, to be honest. Someone just lost a tree.
Oh, Shakespeare was known then. And I have an example of our first rock star, Franz Liszt. I'm sure most of us have heard the Phoenix song Listomania. Maybe, I don't know. That was a song
No.
in the early thousands. It's called Listomania, spelled
Okay.
Listomania. So like Liszt. And he was like a rock star. He had like long hair and was like an emo boy, and people used to collect his half-drunk tea and spray it on themselves as perfume, and people went fucking nuts for him. And there was like it was a word that people were using, like Listomania, because everyone was like, "Oh god, he's such a good pianist." So that's so people are big fans since people have been celebrities and shared around. That's my summary of fandom.
I guess in a way, though, like you can't be a celebrity without having fans, can you?
Exactly, that's what it is to
No.
be a celebrity. Or you can have, or to have like a lot of people who hate you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to be known to be a celebrity. I think that's
Yeah.
it. You need the public sphere to be a celebrity.
But I guess
think,
back
like-
in those days, if they didn't like you, you'd probably just like, if you were that much as a celebrity and no one liked you, I think you probably didn't stay alive for a long time.
Yeah. But a lot of hate also like
No, you didn't stay alive for a long time because everyone had fucking smallpox or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
but a lot of haters just end up becoming fans as well. Like it's like there is that whole like like that dichotomy of like people like just want to hate on something and want to just be like, no, this is crap, this is crap, this is crap. Because I came across this. I may have even talked about it in a previous episode. I can't remember, but I found this write up in a newspaper from like it would have been around the late 80s, which is a whole bunch of angry letters of like the Star Trek, the presidents of the Star Trek fan club hating on the idea of Star Trek: The Next Generation before it had even come out. They wrote this like. There is a whole article about people just being mad about it. Like, Ruth Brinstein of Atlanta, Georgia, is one of many who are spearheading a write-in campaign to Star Trek newsletters from coast to coast in hopes of transporting the new series into another space continuum. It's ludicrous, she declares flatly. The charm and success of the original was based on the perfect mix of characters and the actors playing those parts. It's the family of characters, especially the relationship between Captain Kirk, played by William Shatner, and Spock, the character that Leonard Nimoy
Shatner.
made famous, that made Star Trek what it was. You can't hit on that again. It goes on saying, it's sad to see this rip-off series going on air, particularly for us fans who have been there from the beginning. Roddenberry is just trying to cash in on the popularity of the original show. I'm gonna post this in the description for the show just because I think it's funny as fuck. But it's like, so like fans can become the most toxic part of their own sort of culture, really.
Yeah, because my next question for this topic is, what do you think of when you think of fandoms? And I think Josh just hit the nail on the head with what a large part of us will think of.
Yeah, like gatekeepers and toxicity.
Yeah,
like,
well, I was going to say, there's a lot of people that make their whole personality based on the fact that they like something that is now popular, and then they hate everyone for liking that thing.
Yeah, that's the whole point of being alive, spite.
Yeah, it's like, well, what's the point of living to be a contrarian? Like, why don't you just enjoy something for yourself? I don't understand those kinds of people. Just enjoy something.
Yeah, but it's a weird dichotomy on that as well, because like, I mean, whether it's, I mean, in, the main genres that us three sort of straddle, the idea of like alternative music and nerddom, especially, like, it could be argued that, we were the outsiders looking for somewhere to belong. And so we found people that sort of agree with what we like. So we should be really, really happy about that. But people still cling on to this idea of, no, I just like this thing. I like being the outsider. I want to belong, but I also want to be the outsider.
I don't know. I like,
get
but you could also argue on that thing, Josh, like that we are on the outside because of the things that we've liked. or because we're all on the spectrum. So it's
Well, that-
like, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's like a philosophical question, being like, what is it that makes us who we are, and what makes us fans of things? I don't know. I really was eloquent there. You could tell I'm
Yeah.
still taking my
100%.
cup syrup.
Yeah, cup syrup.
Cup syrup. But I was like, yeah, you mentioned being on the spectrum as well. And it's like, obviously that, I think there is a big part to that as well, because, you know, there is the added layer of the abundance of neurodiversity throughout, especially throughout nerd culture. And I wonder how much of that, like that gatekeeping and actually is actually just miscommunicated, like social abrasiveness, because nerds don't know how to communicate. So it's like, how much are they actually assholes, and how much do they just spurgs who don't know how to be like, I want to appreciate that you like this thing, but I don't know how, so instead I'm going to be angry at you.
I think it's a lot that, like, say, like a lot of people used to get bullied for liking stuff like this, and they're angry because they got bullied, and people are no longer being bullied. But I think that's a weird take, because wouldn't you be happy that people are no longer getting bullied for enjoying the thing you enjoy?
Maybe they're just kids who never learned how to share. So they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to share my liking it.
Yeah, but I think that's a human thing as well. It's just like people are of that opinion, which is like, well, I suffered for this thing, so you should have to suffer for this thing too. It's like people talk about like student loan.
I was actually going to
forgiveness and
bring
stuff
that
like
up. Yeah,
that.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, I had to pay for my student loan, but you're upset about it. So why would you, like, if you didn't have to wish that upon someone else, why would you?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Look, university should be free. I have made a list of things that came to mind when I thought of fandoms.
Go on.
And you could say whether you've ever partaken in these if you want. Fan mail.
No.
Comic-Cons or cons of any description.
I've been to
actually, I haven't.
I've been to PAX, and I've been to the other gaming one, Supernova. But not in like a diehard fan way. Like I wasn't dressed up or anything like that. I just kind of went. I went to one of them because a cute girl asked me to go with her. So obviously I'm a boy, and that's what boys do.
Some boys.
Yeah. But the other one, I just wanted to just like walk around. But I wasn't the type of person who could spend all day there. Like I went there, did one.
Oh, there'd be too many people.
Saw everything and went, oh, okay, I need to leave now.
I want to go to JordanCon, which is the Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan Con.
I thought you were talking about Michael Jordan. I was like, oh, that's an
I'm actually
odd take for you.
Huge basketball fan.
Yeah,
a huge fan of specifically like 1996 basketball.
Another thing that came to mind is stalking. That's a thing. People do that.
Grant, do you want to admit to stalking anybody?
Well, the way that Josh and I met is I just followed him home and just sat outside his window. Okay, getting signatures, getting things signed. That's a thing that fans do.
Ooh, I especially because I'm not a sports person. This is a weird thing to say, but I got Jason Dunstall's signature when I would have been 10 years old. He was a football player in Hawthorn from like 91 to 98 or 99. Like he was when I was like a kid and my dad was like forcing me to be into sports. I have I could still name footballers from that time of sports and can't name any from today.
Now it all opens up. Now I understand why you don't like sports, because your father tried to force you to like sports. It's all over the open now. Now I see you have such a
story.
Now I see why you have such a huge hate.
Okay, what about people getting? Well, obviously, you didn't get signatures, but people who get signed by an artist on their body and then get that tattooed on them. Have you seen people do that? I know people who've had that done. Yeah. Like the only person I'd probably do that for would be like Kurt Ballou or something from Converge, just like across my forehead. But other fan things, knowing all the words to songs and knowing the entire discography of a band and knowing all of those minute details, like
I'd do that.
I know too many words to too many songs, but I think that's more because I'm a spurg than because I'm a fan. Like, if
knowing
I
about
listen to
discographies.
No, I Yeah, I'd say they're probably unnecessary. I know I have too much.
I'm more of an
information.
early Dillinger Escape fan person than a later one.
Personally, actually, a far
Personally,
later one.
all Dillinger slaps.
Yeah, 100%. But Greg Puciato is the fucking best vocalist for Dillinger. I'll fight anyone on that.
Oh, same. Except for Greg Puciato, because I would die. I don't know why I'd want to fight on that, but you know. Cosplay, that's a thing that fans do, like to dress up.
I think of the three of us, Margy. Yeah, I was gonna say Margy. I think you'd be the cosplayer of the three of us. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm too poor, but I would be so good at cosplay.
You would. I reckon you'd nail it.
All right. Let's start a cosplay fund for me. Also, do you guys remember, just speaking of knowing all the words to songs, the Mighty Boosh, when that was going around? You're probably too young for it, Grant.
No, I watched Mighty Boosh.
How everyone knew all the words to the Soup song? Like that was like a sign you were a Mighty Boosh fan. If someone went soup, and then you'd be like soup, and then yeah.
It became a thing, yeah.
Okay.
I was actually more into
the
the monster rap from this, like the second episode.
What about following bands around on tour, like the Grateful Dead fans who followed them all around?
That's just stalking, isn't it?
I don't know. It was like a big thing in America for a while. Where,
or is
like,
it not stalking if you're then paying to see them when you get to?
I think if you're not like breaking into their tour van and molesting them, then you know,
I reckon they thought about it.
God, yes.
Just while they were really, really stoned. Yeah, the Grateful Dead made that really, really popular. I've done tours up the coast, but like it's either because like I've had bands on the tours or I've been working on the tours. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say that I'd do that just because I felt like it.
Yeah. But I do know people who would like go to fly down the coast just to see a band like play 3 times, or go to Soundwave, go to the sideshow, you go to the next city to go to Soundwave, go to the sideshow. And I was like, how do you get you all this money? Okay, fan fiction. Anyone here written fan fiction or read fan? Well, you've read some smut, Josh. Josh has read some smut.
I mean, I have, absolutely, but I saw that you put this note in here where it just says, do we want to talk about fan fiction because that shit gets wild? And I think like that just took me to, are you both familiar with the concept of Rule 34?
No. I didn't know there were 33 rules.
There is
there was 10 commandments.
I think it started on like fucking 4chan or something like that, but someone wrote like the rules of the internet, and Rule 34 is the most infamous because there's different ways to write it, but the basic idea of Rule 34 is if it exists, there is pornography of it, and that is based on like people writing like Harry Potter fan fiction where everyone just gets it on.
Dude, I've heard Slenderman fan fiction, like sexual Slenderman fan fiction.
No,
it's disgusting.
I mean, hentai.
Yeah.
There's a whole genre of porn for people who like anime, and then there's more specific fanfics. Let's not go into that, but
no, we have to now because you've started a thing that
I guess that's not even fan fiction. That's like purpose built. It's not...
Okay, that's different. But fan fiction, I've seen. I've never delved into it. I've just heard stuff about fanfic, and
we need to sidetrack though for a second because I need to explain to you the most amazing correlation in the history of mankind. Do you guys realize that the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand is responsible for hentai?
How so?
I'll believe it.
So obviously the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand is what sparked
tentacles coming out of his pussy.
I mean, that 100%. But that also sparked off World War I. World War I, obviously in the ashes, the world was all messed up all over the fucking place, which is what was basically responsible for World War II. At the end of World War II...
And the Wheel of Time book series.
And the Wheel of Time book series, of course. End of World War II, Japan obviously lost. And so as a country, they felt a great deal of shame. And the country voted in an ultra-conservative government who banned all pornography, but they were very, very specific in their definition of pornography. And at the same time, American soldiers stayed behind in Japan after the war, and they brought with them comics like Captain America, Batman, things like that. And so they introduced Western comics into Japan. And so these Japan got like really, really like, inspired by these comics, but also were trying to find ways to get around porn. And it was something along the lines of like, you couldn't have like penis going into vagina. And so there's like, all right, what are some sort of phallic things? And so they were taking inspiration from like Western comics and adding tentacles into it. So by correlation, Archduke Franz Ferdinand getting assassinated in 1912 is responsible for hentai.
And you could go further than that and saying that someone taking a wrong turn led to hentai. But that also means that like that event led to like Attack on Titan being created. Which
Absolutely.
I mean,
fuck
it's not
it's not nearly as funny.
It's not as funny.
My proudest thing about that is I got to explain that correlation to Mark Hoppus once, and I think that was just the best day of my life.
Jesus Christ.
But we've sidetracked. What's something
that's good, but the fans' community or reputation ruins? We just answered that. Fan fiction.
Tool. Fan fiction.
Tool.
Grant says Tool. I can definitely separate the fans from the music in that.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Maybe that's because I'm a huge Tool fan, and so I'm just like, well, I'm not part of that, but also like.
But that is one of the ones where like you're gonna, if you want to go see them live, you're like,
yeah.
Like, I went to go see like Satyricon live, and I was like, the crowd, it's gonna smell.
It stinks.
Yeah. Tool, nu metal, I think, was another example that was given, which is fair enough because a lot of nu metal fans suck, but also Limp Bizkit are the greatest band on the face of the planet. So
exactly, but like it's one of those like, do you like wearing a Limp Bizkit shirt? Are you taken as serious or ironic when you wear it? Like.
But see, that ruins it for me because I would wear it unironically. Like the fans who want to wear it like in some form of irony, they probably ruin it for me because I want to wear a t-shirt that says Limp Bizkit is the greatest band in the universe as an unironic statement. I do. I'm proud of that.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Fans ruined that one.
I feel like that kind of like blew over real quick though. Like the fans of that show fell off the edge of the earth. Didn't they? Like I don't think I've heard a thing about Rick and Morty for like fucking 6 years.
Yeah, I only just found out that they're making new episodes, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I'm just not caring. It was like, oh, it was kind of cool, and then it was Pickle Rick, and then it was dead.
Oh, Jesus Christ! That's a blight on society. It's like if you could choose to get rid of COVID or Pickle Rick, I'd probably choose to get rid of Pickle Rick.
Yeah, which is like, it sucks as well because like Pickle Rick was like, it was funny, but it was nowhere near as funny as everyone made it out to be, which just stopped it being funny. Like it just became so much bigger than it should have been.
At least people didn't start making themselves burp. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
He literally didn't he just yell, "I'm Pickle Rick"?
Yeah, I think maybe it's because that's the only thing that people could quote from it.
Yeah, it's just like it's the same as like, I'm
slow down, looking good, my man.
Yeah.
One of my friends did like there was like a slow thing written onto the ground in like the street that they lived in, and then they wrote "slow down, looking good, my man." Like
nice.
Under it. It was very timely.
If we could circle back around to Tool, I did a bit of research last night because I thought it'd be funny to say, like, because I know why I dislike a lot of those like kind of super insufferable Tool fans. I was like, I want to look up on Reddit. Like, I want to see if anyone else shares my view. And when I typed in, why do people not like Tool fans? The first Reddit to come up was a 800 letter fucking segment of a Tool fan asking why people don't like Tool, and then like having multiple sections that conclude. He basically wrote a whole essay asking people why they don't like Tool, and saying his experience with Tool fans, him not being able to understand why people wouldn't like Tool fans, then going on to say why the drummer, the guitarist, and the vocalist, and the bassist are the best of all those instruments in the world, and then capping it off with, if you don't like Tool, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I can't remember the other band, then you don't like rock and roll. It's like, this is why no one likes Tool fans.
Because they use rock and roll, and I'm okay. Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's not a good band though. That's just something that
they were good up to Californication. And then you just stop paying attention.
I think it's the fact that this guy wrote an 800-page essay to explain to himself why no one likes him. And the top comment for me pretty much explains the reason why I don't like Tool better than I could ever say. So this was, I didn't, the name, the profile been deleted, so I can't have the name of the Redditor, but it's not Tool itself, at least not for me. I absolutely adore Tool, but nothing is likely to change that, including their fan base. Tool fans, on the other hand, I've found to be pretentious, insufferable, self-indulgent know-it-alls who seem to genuinely believe they've unlocked vast portion of secret mysteries from the universe because they listen to the songs about DNA structures, an album based on the Fibonacci sequence, and listen to Bill Hicks.
But I think the funny thing about that, because it did make me think of a story. I think the one thing about Tool fans is that also like Maynard plays into that as well. Like Maynard fucking loves that people like jack off over him like so fucking hard. Whereas like on the other side, I won't name the band, but for a band, not an Australian band, an international band, came into the scene as like a beat down hardcore band, and they hated playing shows so much because of the kinds of people that go to beat down shows and like were constantly crowd killing and just being violent, misogynistic, arrogant pricks, that the band just changed their sound. Like they added in so much more like metal and have become like much more of a metal band because they hated the fans that they were playing to so much. And like, that's actually, I mean, they're a much more successful band now, so obviously it fucking worked for them. But like, yeah, it's like literally the only reason why they changed their sound is because they hated the crowds they were playing to.
Fair enough.
That's amazing. And fan groups or like fan groups that gatekeep like the Star Wars fan like community, how it's a bit, but you know how like you can't be like, oh, I just love episode 1 so much, and people will just be like,
But Margy, that actually is interesting. I actually really want to kind of bring this up because, like,
hang on, I'm still listening. I just have to let my cat in because she's hanging off my fly screen yelling.
I love that. But yeah, Margy, I did really want to kind of bring up, because you've mentioned kind of gatekeeping, especially from fan bases, and as a guy who quite clearly like looks like he belongs in it. Like, even if I haven't known something, then people have been like,
hey man, you like heavy metal? That's yeah.
They've been happy to tell me about it. So if I'm just like, oh, I don't know how to do this, and then they just go, oh, well, come in, I'll tell you. But what has your experience been like with gatekeeping? Like, has it been that much different as a woman in the scene?
It's been weird because it depends on the genre, I guess. Like, I have a very high IQ. But I have very low emotional intelligence. That's why my cat bites me so much. So I don't know, like I've been listening to metal since I was a scrawny teenage girl, and like I used to go to metal gigs and stuff, and like was like, oh, and then guys would try and like protect you. But like I had a friend group who were all into like alternative music and heavier music and stuff, and some of them like I never was really explained to too much. Like I'd get into arguments that I would get myself into. And then like with other aspects of nerdom and stuff, like I have been mansplained to a little bit a few times, but not too much. I think because I have learnt to just be like, hey, I don't really get X, and then someone will explain to me this, and if they try and go over the top, then I'm just like, no thank you. Like it's kind of like like, is Naruto worth watching? Like, I remember asking someone like 10 years ago, and they were like, oh my god, it's so good, and they were going on, and I was like, nah, I'm lost. Like what is like what's the good bit? So, but I definitely like have had guys try and explain music to me a lot more, but like I know that I'm an idiot with a lot of things, so like it's like me being like, who's that, with about like every person in pop culture and music, and like my bandmates just know that they have to stop every now and then and explain like who a very common person is. It's like, I don't know, like 8 years ago it would have been like, who's Greg Puciato, what, and someone would have to be like, oh, all right, so so I think, I don't know, but I definitely have a very good resting bitch face, so people tend to be careful around me. But I know that not every girl gets it that easy, and it can be intimidating, but I find it's not as bad as you'd expect being a girl who's into like metal and stuff. Yeah, it was worse when I was younger, but I think I've just grown older and jaded, and if someone talks to me, I'm like, and then it's kind of sorted.
Do you reckon there has been more of an acceptance now that, like, you know, because, you know, you go back to the 80s and even into the 90s, like it was seen as like nerds were seen as just like guys like Star Trek and guys play video games and that's it. Is now obviously it's been proven that that's not the case at all. Do you think there is more acceptance nowadays?
Yeah, I think so. I think it depends how deep you get into a fandom and stuff. Like for me, I'm a big fan of book series and stuff more than I am anything else. And because I have like weirdly good memory about certain things, I can have a really good discussion about books, and it's less likely to be like, oh, there's less of like a test of like, say it's gaming. I think there's a bit more of hyper critique on girls who game, where it's like, oh, but you could be using these codes, you could be doing this and stuff. And I think that's very much proven not to be the case, because there are so many female Twitch streamers, and even if they're not good at gaming and they're just streaming because they're hot, then fucking whatever, they're still getting money to do it. So like,
yeah, Josh and I were talking about it the other day. We're just like, yeah, more power to you. That's sick.
Yeah, like
I was
you don't have to be good.
No, I was complaining that someone had like 10,000 fucking viewers, but it wasn't because it was a girl. It was because they were doing ASMR, and ASMR literally gives me like the heebie-jeebies. I don't care who's doing it. Like when people like whisper into microphones and stuff like that, I just like and I was just kind of like, oh, just 10,000 people watching her do ASMR. Like, no, absolutely not. Like fucking play Fortnite, do whatever you want, but just don't like whisper into microphones, because I can feel my back just. No. ASMR fans, I hate you all.
Well, that leads me on to another one of weird fandoms. So I do have one example of a particularly shit fandom, though, or an example of fans being shit. So Attack on Titan, the voice actress who plays Gabby, if you've seen Attack on Titan, you know who Gabby is. But anyway, I'm not going to give any spoilers. The voice actress for that character received death threats because of something that the character did, and also because the character just fucking sucks. But the voice actress received death threats from fans, and I was just like,
I never understand. It's the same as like the kid.
She's the dubbed voice actress as well. She's not even the original voice actress.
But it's like the poor kid that played fucking Joffrey in Game of Thrones. Like people fucking like see him on the street hate him.
He was a cunt.
Like that poor kid's life is like fucking ruined because fucking he played an evil character.
I've got a weird fandom that I don't understand. K-pop fandoms, particularly BTS. Did you know BTS fans are called BTS Army or just Army?
Yeah.
The K-pop fans are assembling an army, guys. They're coming for us. Metalheads, help!
There is two really, really big acts within that space. There's BTS and there's Blackpink. If you go to a Blackpink concert wearing BTS merch, you will get beaten up by K-pop fans. Like they are
that's metal as fuck. I take it back. I love it.
They have this massive rivalry. Yeah, even if you're wearing like because they're on different record labels. If you're wearing the record label merch, like you are like the scum of the. It's fucking so weird that like it's wild when you actually look into the fan bases for these two acts in particular, because you like one or you like the other. You do not like both. That's just not a thing that's allowed to happen. But yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
People know like all the K-pop dancers, like
It's actually
style themselves after like female K-pop stars or like obsessed, and I'm just like, whoa, like, I mean, maybe it's because listening to metal, I didn't really have that many female, metal people to try and style myself after. That's why I look like a man.
With those with the K-pop though, like the dance is actually a big part of it. Usually the dance comes at the forefront. Like the dance is the important part, the song's secondary.
Yeah.
Like it's like even like talking about like Psy, for example, like when Gangnam Style exploded, it's because they worked so hard on the dance. Like that wasn't viral for no reason. That was pinpoint. That was planned for months of them. Like the record company made like a burner like YouTube account that was targeting heaps of stuff in the West for months and months and months, priming it for a huge amount of viewers. So when they put Gangnam Style on there, it would just explode. And like all the random people in that film clip are actually all like super famous people in Korea. So it's like like massive TV personalities, and we're just like, look at that funny guy in like a yellow suit, but actually turns out he's like Conan O'Brien over there,
Jesus. Yeah, that's
K-pop fans are wild though. You could look like so deep into that, and it's a terrifying experience.
I work with some people who are just hard K-pop fans, and it's impressive. I mean, good for them. I looked at some interesting fan base names as well, like and the worst I found was Cumber Bitches, which is fans of Benedict Cumberbatch call themselves Cumber Bitches.
Wow, that's especially for him, like of all people for him, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah. I'm absolutely a cumber bitch for vanilla yogurt.
I'm a cumber bitch for Benedict Cumberbatch because he's the best. Amazing. That makes me so happy.
I found an example of twitches, as in the bird watchers, my kind of twitches, getting into a physical altercation over bird call identification. America. There's some hardcore Scooby-Doo fandom out there, which I'm sure Grant can appreciate.
My partner especially is a huge into Scooby-Doo.
Columbine shooter fandom. That is really problematic.
That's terrifying on so many levels.
Which, and then I found really disturbing stuff over Stephen King's It fandom. Like,
I like how, like, I agree with you in a way, but I like how that's still somehow worse than like the Columbine fandom. Like, it's like, Columbine, that's bad, but clowns having sex with like kid orgies, no.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff, and I was like, what have I found? Clear browsing history, my God.
See, but the thing is, that's not even like fan fiction. That was just in the book.
Yeah, it's
canon. It's real.
And people, there's just some weird shit out there, man. And how everyone comes up with names for themselves, like, I don't know, like believers.
Like the Juggalos. Fuck yeah, Juggalos.
Apparently Game of Thrones fans call themselves Thronies, which...
That's weird.
which rhymes with bronies, which is the... Well, let's not
go into bronies. Let's not. Of all the things we could not go into, let's not go into bronies. We don't need to do that.
It's not sexual, Josh. They just really like My Little Pony. It is sexual. Oh God!
All right, let's let's round out this topic and kind of flip the script. Maybe Grant, we'll start with you. Who do you reckon the best fan base is? If you had to pick one fan base, who's the best?
Starship motherfucking Troopers.
the fan base for Starship Troopers.
Yes,
is
absolutely.
That's the best answer.
I mean, it's not wrong, but I didn't realize there was a diehard fan base for Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's all they have. There's not a
Josh,
race-
you
they don't
are
have
the
a-
Josh, you
Yeah.
are the diehard.
Well, I mean,
fan
why
base.
aren't I like the president of this fan club? I'm really offended right now.
Guys, should we make Starship Trooper fan t-shirts?
Yeah.
I think we have to.
Yeah, I heard
I
those
really
fans are called Would You Like to Know Maury's?
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
jeez.
All right, Margy, what about you? What do you reckon's the best fan base?
Look, this is a hard one. My interaction with the Wheel of Time fan community so far has been positive, and all the people have proven themselves to be quite progressive with any of the problematic topic matter, which has been really good because there's a few things that are a bit problematic in it, and that's been good. Otherwise, like I would say Avatar: The Last Airbender, but the fans get a bit too fucking sentimental, which is saying something because I cry a lot. Look, maybe just fans of brutalist architecture. They're not
like
harming
that.
anyone. They're just appreciating the beautiful buildings that Brisbane's got to offer. Phoebe Paradise is a Brisbane designer and has a really good brutalist architecture
Could you
t-shirt.
imagine just like rolling up to that fan club and they're all sitting down and they're just like, really fucking love squares.
I
just love concrete and I love right angles.
I like corners, but not too many corners.
I will say the most horrifying thing that I found in the black metal fan community, I was expecting there to be some weird shit, like, I don't know, some kind of like Nazi sentiment or anything. No, it's the fact that they like fucking lo-fi sound production and not like good lo-fi, like well done lo-fi, just like, oh, I recorded this through a shoe and a crab committing suicide and it sounds...
in a toilet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. Anyway, Josh, what's your wholesome community?
Well, I basically all I do on Facebook is follow like meme groups. And so I'm in like a Star Wars meme group, I'm in a Star Trek meme group, I'm in a Futurama meme group, I'm in a Magic the Gathering meme. I'm in like meme groups for all these nerdy things. And every single one of them just gets all like shitty and political at some point, apart from the Futurama meme group. The
Yeah, I
Futurama
can't see that
meme
one getting
group,
political. Yeah.
it's like it gets they have a real penchant for horny posting, but now there's been like now there's a group of them who have come forward saying that they're asexual and so that they don't really understand the horny posting things, and so now there's two like real like hypersexual horny posting and asexual like kind of working together to just be like, oh, this is for you and this is for we can enjoy these memes together. It's fucking wholesome as shit.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah, but like so it's it's Futurama fry posting is the meme group, and of all the meme groups that I'm in, it's the only one that stays as like I'm sure that maybe there's some stuff that I've missed, but for the most part, I see shitty things on like every other meme group and like threads that have to get closed and shit. But the Futurama fans seem to be the most wholesome.
Why am I imagining all the horny Futurama fans are just like, gosh dang it, Crushinator?
It's Crushinator, it's fucking Zap Brannigan. I find the most erotic part of a woman to be the boobies. Like stuff like that.
Or it's like a hedonism bot.
There's so much of that. There's a whole bunch of like death by snoo sort of things. There's some fucking great stuff in there.
We just need to do a Futurama episode.
Oh, dude, I love the first 3 seasons of Futurama.
Oh, and they're coming. Oh, there's a new season coming out.
I think I'm not getting my hopes up. The last 2 are bad.
It's fair. It's fair. But yeah, I think that rounds out quite nicely Fandangled Fandoms as we move into the final beat for this episode of Balrogs Blastbeats. We're going with the topic of who is cuter this week, and I'm interested to know your answers. And I've chosen the 2 to be chosen from tonight. We're going with who is cuter: Wicket Wistry Warwick, the famous adorable Ewok, or Gizmo Gizmogwai from Gremlins. So
Mogwai.
Margy, let's start with you. You're going with Mogwai?
It's Mogwai. It's pronounced Mogwai, not
Mogwai.
Mogwai. Mogwai. You said Mogwai.
I haven't seen Gremlins since like 1995, so
okay. Well, the first thing I had to do upon seeing this was Google both of the names. I recognized Mogwai as being a character in a Gremlins movie. Because I know that because I'm a fan of Mogwai the band. So Wicket's the male Ewok scout warrior, and then he became the ruler of Bright Tree Village on Endor, and he was very important in helping the Rebel Alliance against the Empire. Gizmo, he is a Mogwai, which is like a Furby, gifted to Billy by Mr. Wing, and lives in New York, and he helps Billy fight the Gremlins. Am I correct in these?
You are correct in both of those.
Okay,
things.
Cool. Well, obviously, I'm going Wicket because I have PTSD from the Gremlin movies, and nothing associated with them will ever be cute. Man, I wanted the Gremlin line at Movie World when I was a child, and I still have nightmares about that. It was the scariest day of my life, and even the cute ones. I mean, we've all seen Furbies. Even the cute ones are fucking evil. So, yeah, Wicket, hands down. Warrior, adorable teddy bear, leader, lover, maybe. I don't know what Ewoks do.
Throw rocks at each other.
I mean, there's definitely. We definitely see like baby Ewoks, and so they definitely fuck.
Whoa! You don't know they can reproduce asexually.
Don't
what
say
the fuck
that.
there?
You've just birthed a new fan fiction, and I don't like it.
Rule 34.
You've just made a new fan fiction.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
That's what I'm here for.
Grant, who are you going with?
It's got to be Wicket. Like, I think as soon as they made Wicket, Star Wars understood that they printed money. They're just like, from then on, every Star Wars movie has the token cute creature for merchandise that just makes them bank.
Oh, the pufflings and the new ones.
Yeah, that's it.
They're so cute.
Wicket was the first. Wicket was the first. It's like, wait, we didn't even need to make that movie. We just need that thing. That's money. That thing there, Wicket. That's money.
You don't think the one-eyed monster who lived in the trash disposal thing, you know, like that weird eye that just sticks out? That was cute, right?
Yeah, that's the one that Japan got.
Hentai. Okay, Josh, Wicket or Gizmo?
I love being the contrarian, but in this case I just can't because it has to be. I love saying his full name as well. I didn't realize he had a full name of Wicket Wistry Warwick. Because he's just fucking, yep. It's fucking he's goddamn, he's adorable. And like the fact that he like fucking likes to fuck with stormtroopers and stuff like that, and like smack the shit out of him. I'm just like, I don't think like Gizmo is fucking adorable and was really presented as he's so fucking cute, but I was just like, I think Wicket just stole my heart, and so
Gizmo's probably a sociopath. Let's be real, anyway. Like
probably.
I feel like Wicket also has that slight realism about him, like kind of like a pet dog in like the way the eyes look and all that.
Like like a dog or a bear or something like that.
I bet he gets crusty shit around his eyes.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
One of those little dogs.
He gets sleepies. Yeah,
he gets like the those like little white dogs that have always got red crusty eyes. That's Gizmo.
I feel like those dogs, like the kind of dogs that wouldn't survive if they didn't have people around to like cut their hair. They'd just be blind.
Probably. But dear listener, we need you to tell us. Every Friday on the Northside Nerds Instagram, we post the important question of the week. There's been some wonderful important questions lately, and some answers have just been absolutely wonderful. And apparently I'm very egotistical for thinking I could be Tom Bombadil, but whatever, I'm sticking with it. But jump on, follow at Northside Nerds on Instagram. You can go through and like answer all the old questions as well, because it's just, I mean, that's what they're there for. They're there for a bit of fun. But you need to let us know Friday mornings, who is cuter, Wicket from Return of the Jedi or Gizmo from Gremlins? Leave your comments. Let us know, because
yes, very important. And also, you can just go find us under the Northside Nerds social media things. There's Twitch, there's Insta. It's Josh is pointing down. It's probably going to be in the script below the episode.
Link in the description, whether you're listening in the podcast,
scripts.
A link in the script. I mean, technically it's a script. Someone could say it's a script. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be a link in the description if you're watching on YouTube as well. Come join me and Grant for Multiplayer Mondays on Twitch. We're slowly expanding to more nights during the week. that there'll be more different stuff kind of happening there. But yeah,
Yeah.
stay in
Watch
touch.
us descend to the creepiest depths of retro game online lobbies. And it was very weird.
And if you want us to stream the boy showing me any movies for the first time, or even me just crying as I try and figure out a video game and run into a wall, let us know. The content is yours to choose and create, my friends.
100%.
We'll create it. Yeah.
If you want to create it as well,
Syrups.
it's even easier for us.
Yeah, and then just sell it to us for free.
Yeah, absolutely. But until then, like and subscribe. Leave fucking reviews if you're listening on Apple Podcast.
There's actually reviews on Spotify now as well. So
is there reviews on Spotify?
Yeah,
so
the only
reviews on
5-star
Spotify?
reviews from me, so that makes us look weird.
Oh
Well,
God,
Grant, you're just a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of this podcast, so it's fine.
You gotta
I'm a
support
huge
yourself.
fan. Yeah, you gotta love yourself. Because if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna bully anyone else? Maybe that's not what RuPaul said. I can't remember. I don't know. Something like that.